we still use alcohol and TV. It's very normal if somebody has a glass of beer in a talk show or a red wine, totally acceptable. It's just as bad as cigarettes. People die from alcohol. And then if you refer to cannabis, nobody ever died from cannabis.
Welcome to this week's Escape Your Limits podcast. Today, we will be exploring the hype around the wellness trend for CBD. Is this the next miracle remedy or the modern day snake oil? To learn more about it, we are joined by the founder of CBD Sports, the world's largest one-stop platform offering a range of CBD products specifically for athletes. He advocates that any athlete, pro or amateur, can benefit from CBD supplements as part of their daily routine.
When you talk recovery, you talk sleep. That's actually where you do the most of your recovery. So if you can improve your sleep, you improve your recovery. Don't take CBD if you're doing fine. That's with all the athletes as well, and all the active people, let me say that. I'm totally for cannabis, strange enough, because I always hated it.
Please join me in welcoming Mr. Roald Tromp to this week's Escape Your Limits podcast. Roald, thank you for joining us in Newport Beach. What's the Dutch guy doing in Southern California?
Actually, I'm on a cannabis orientation tour, crazy enough. So we're here talking about fitness, that's where we're going at. But the topic, today is cannabis. And if there's one place on earth where it all happens, that's California, USA at the moment.
So did you come here to see a particular company, or is it a bit of a general tour?
We have a lot of companies. I'm working together with a partner here on our company, CBD Sports. It's a company, actually, it's a web shop, and we distribute all kinds of CBD or cannabis-related products, but specifically for athletes, for active people and for athletes. So we don't sell joints, we don't sell THC, we do muscle cream, we do topicals. It could even be a protein powder with CBD added to it. There's a switch going on now a little bit, is that CBD had a big hype for a couple of years, and it's slowing down. And you see that a lot of athletes and even professional sports federations are now looking into other cannabinoids, and the one and most famous one is THC. That's where people get high on, and we'll obviously go deeper into that. But that's where it happened here, and I'm halfway there. I'm spending 90 days, 3 months. And I've seen a lot that I like, and a lot that shocked me, and a lot that I go like, oh, okay. It's a very good learning internship, as you may call it, looking at what happens here in California, USA, on the topic cannabis.
Right. Tell us a little bit about your personal journey with CBD.
I come from a sports background. My education is a PE, physical education. Did some other jobs in between, but then I went for commercial jobs in fitness. So I sold Cybex equipment. Later on, I worked for Matrix. So that's where we saw each other on the FIBOs and the URSA and all those expos. So sports was my thing. The only bad luck that I have, that between my 18th and 24th birthday, more or less, I had a couple of injuries that, furthermore ruined my sports career, but determined my life for the rest of it. So it's a knee that has issues, and the older you get, the more painful it's going to be. And if you're on painkillers, and I absolutely needed that. And if you see me walking now, by the way, so well, it's not so bad. No, true, because 1 year ago I had a total knee replacement, so it's all fine now. But before that, I was limping and I was walking like an old man. So I was always using painkillers. And if you use the NSAIDs, the steroids, that has a lot of side effects. So it hurts your liver. It's not bad for your stomach. So you always look for something that can help you out, or that can ease the pain a little bit, and doesn't have that many side effects. And then you come in herbals or natural source medication. I started working for a company in the cannabis industry via. I'm going to save you that story, but and I had to work on expos, and those were cannabis expos. You have there's one next week in Las Vegas. It's called the MJBiz.com. Very large expo where the whole cannabis industry comes. and joints. I was at Lift Canada, and then the most exotic ones like Cannabis in Barcelona. Name says it all, Cannabis. Cannabis in Prague. The most craziest expo. So I got in that world. A little surprised by all the blowers, the stoners, the hippies, and call it not my world. But that was also the introduction of CBD for a lot of people. When I left that company, it was just an interim job for 1 year. I was looking at the CrossFit Games, and there was a big sponsor, Pure Spectrum, and I was like, oh, what is that? And that was CBD, and I was like, hey, I saw that in all the Cannabis and Cannafest expos, and it got my interest. And so, like, why is CBD related to sports? What is that? And that's when it all began. And at those on those expos, I saw a lot of products. I brought some ones. The most familiar within CBD are the CBD drops. So you take that under your tongue, and that's supposed to make you better. In between the question marks. But also these roll-ons, for example, you can open it if you want. You can smell it. I mean, that's a roll-on that you use on your joints or your muscles. You just twist it, and it looks like a deo stick, but you can really rub it in. You can trigger point massage, and I use that on my knee. And to my biggest surprise, because I didn't believe in all those herbal stuff, that really helped, and that got me triggered. And I was bringing products like this to the Netherlands, for example, to the gym where I was working out in Amsterdam, the Vondel gym. And all the personal trainers were like, what is that? Oh, is that CBD? Can you bring me one? Because that was not available in Europe. So I started, yes, just a little side hustle, bringing those products in from the expos, and giving it to people. And then suddenly somebody said, okay, yeah, why don't you open your own web shop? And yeah, that's how it started. And that's how I got into the CBD world. Reading lots of research. I worked with a couple of professional athletes that I just gave the products and just asked them for feedback. And that's how we gathered all the knowledge. And that's been 6 years now. So yeah, they called me Opa CBD. Opa is the Dutch word for grandfather, because in that period I got a grandchild. And Opa CBD was like, yeah, the alter ego for the expert on CBD. So yeah, that's what we do. We still trying to find all these products and distribute them under the name of CBD Sports. We never made our own brand products, but we're on the verge of doing that.
Right. I understand there's different types within this category. I was looking before. There's CBD, CBN, there's THC, and a number of other ones.
Yeah.
Can you break down then for us what the different types are and what they do and why there's so many different types of or variations of that?
Yeah, there are for now around 100 or a little over 100 cannabinoids. And cannabinoids is the substance that they take from a cannabis plant. What you got to know is that a cannabis plant is not just one plant; it's a family, and you have the industrial hemp, and that has a high percentage of CBD in the plant. So that's the plant mostly used for CBD products. You also have the sativa and the indica and the ruralis, 4 other plants that have a higher THC concentration. And from those plants, there are the most known for now is CBD, CBC, CBG, and CBN. Those are the 4 major cannabinoids now more used in a lot of products. And of course THC, and that's the one that we call psychoactive, that can give you a high or that affects your brain as a stimulant. So all the others don't do that, but they have their own benefits. And a lot of people from out of the medical world or the scientific world will always say, yeah, there's not enough scientific proof. No, we all get that. And it's good that it's now out there and that Canada, Uruguay was the first country that legalized cannabis as a whole.
What about, because hasn't it been legal in Holland
No, everybody thinks that.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not.
It's never been.
What, even in Amsterdam?
It's never been legal.
Really?
Yeah, we can tell about it. It's a funny story though, and it's good for people to know. It's the only thing what happened, and that was in the late 70s. That was a long time ago. That the government allowed the cannabis to be sold in certain coffee shops. That's the only thing they did. They allowed it. Never made it legal. There are a lot of restrictions though for a coffee shop. A coffee shop is how the product actually comes into the coffee shop. That's very highly illegal. So we call that the backdoor policy or whatever it is. So it gets through the back door. So somebody who distributes cannabis or weed, marijuana to a coffee shop, it's a criminal. Not allowed. Once it gets into the coffee shop, and there's only 500 grams allowed in each and every coffee shop, well, imagine a cannabis shop in the middle of the touristic area. Yeah, red light district. I know where you all think of. The red light district, that's sold out within half an hour. So they have to deliver constantly at the back door. The coffee shop pays at the back door for the products. Cash, because it's illegal. This is black money, what they do. Dirty money, as they call it here. Then they sell it in a coffee shop. That's where people pay with their credit cards or their paying cards or whatever. And then suddenly that's something that's accountable for, which make it legal. They don't pay taxes on it, but it gets into their bank account. So it's a very shady policy that's very old and that needs to be changed. Thank God now there is a project going on to legalize the cannabis. But it's been strange, and you're not allowed to smoke on the street while everybody does it. So now, yeah, it's condoned in a certain way, but the Dutch police is one of the has the strictest policy to find illegal hemp growing places that can either be in a house or a garage or a storage box or whatever, and well, you're not in a good shape when you get caught cultivating hemp in the Netherlands.
The wait is over. Our new Escape Fitness catalogue has landed. This is the essential guide to all of the latest product innovations that are shaping the future of functional training. Bigger and better than ever, this year's catalogue is 190 pages, jam-packed with everything from eye-catching, bespoke functional training frames to some of the latest strength training equipment. So sign up today to receive the digital version today, or be one of the lucky few to receive a hardbound printed copy straight to your door. So what are you waiting for? Go to escapefitness.com now. So you can't grow it,
No.
you can't transport it,
No.
but once it's in a shop,
You can buy it.
You can buy it.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And that needs to be regulated. I mean, that's a crazy situation in the Netherlands that nobody wants.
I thought they grew it I thought they actually grew it in Holland. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, there we get to the three different ways or the three different I said it, streams or industries within the cannabis industry. You have the recreational industry. That's coffee shop Amsterdam. People buy weed, put it in a joint, smoke it, get high. Fun. Has nothing to do with athletes, sports, or whatever. Although there are some athletes that also smoke a joint to relax and to sleep better, but not in a way that people go to for the reason why they go to a coffee shop. You have the medicinal industry, and that's a very interesting one because that actually is the best things, the best that comes out of cannabis. That's also with THC, but in a very controlled environment. With doctors, scientifically researched. They're looking at the doses, and that's where you see the example for example, a kid with epilepsy getting medicinal cannabis, and everybody's like, "Whoa, miracle! It eases them out." That's a very beautiful development that we need to cherish and that we need to go on. The big difference between what you buy in a coffee shop and what you use in a medicinal way is the way they cultivate it. Because in a medic environment, you always need to know that what you get, that the dosage you take is exactly the dosage that is good for you, that it doesn't have a side effect or whatever. So that's why pharma always produces a product that's always the same, that's tested on if you take 100 milligram, what happens, etc., etc., etc. So when you go to the doctor and they're going to tell you, okay, these are the two painkillers. Take one each. Take one tablet each every morning and one every day. That's we know that because it's tested and scientifically researched. With a plant, that's difficult because every plant is different. And what they do in a medicinal environment is they have one little seed, grow the plant, they cultivate the plant that they exactly want with the right concentration, THC, CBD, CBN, CBG, all the others, and they clone that seed. So every single plant is the same. So we have a big, you said it, a fabric or a producer of medicinal hemp in the Netherlands. The company is called Bedrocan. And they can guarantee that if you take a certain dosage of milligrams of that product, they know what the effects will be on a child, on an adult, or et cetera, et cetera. So that's where it's beautiful. And then there's another one, the third. That's what we do actually. That's the supplement industry, nutrition. So you can use that as an ingredient in a muscle balm, for example, to try to fight the inflammation that happens if you have an injury, to relieve you from pain, to make you sleep better. And all different cannabinoids, what we talked earlier about, have certain benefits. So CBN is mostly used for sleep problems, CBG for inflammation and gut problems. CBC is more like focus and clear thinking. And then CBD is a little bit of everything.
What's CBN? Is that another one? CBN, I think?
Yeah, CBN is the one that they put mostly in for sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are 130 more, but those are the main ones that we know a lot about, and that are scientifically researched.
Are they? Is the standard production standard of the supplements as good as the medical, or are they?
No,
they're not.
That's not only in the CBD world, but if you look at sports nutrition, there's a lot of bad stuff and bad quality out there. I mean, the pre-workout world, for example. I've been to a couple of stores here. Then I look at all the ingredients and I go, okay, that's banned in Europe and that's banned in Europe. That will not get you through a test when you are a professional athlete. All possible here, stricter in Europe, but still, yeah, crazy. And sport nutrition now, protein powders and especially pre-workouts and all kinds of nasty energy drinks is crazily hyped in Europe at this moment. You have a lot of big influencers. Well, not even Europe. Take, what's his name? Paul Logan.
Oh, Logan Paul. Yeah.
Prime energy drink. Crazy. I mean, it's the hydration drink. Okay. But you see kids of 8 to 12-year-old buying energy drinks with 200 milligrams of caffeine in it. And I'm like, okay, that's not the best drink for a small kid.
Right.
And that's not even legal in Europe. That's not Prime's fault because that's illegal importing. And obviously when Prime is going to distribute their products in Europe, and I believe they're doing it all right now, the formulation will be adjusted to European standards. So it's a little bit of craziness in that world. And then especially also when a certain soft drug comes in play, meaning cannabis. So it's already a market where there are a lot of shady things going on, and fortunately there are a lot of good products, because if you look at every national sports federation, track and field, soccer in Europe, or NFL here, Major League Baseball, the athletes of a professional sports team under a sports federation, they use sports supplements too. But those are controlled products that are certain of that get you through it's WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency. But still then in the gray and black market, there's a lot of stuff out there. And that's a problem for the cannabis industry, problem for the sports nutrition industry as well.
I heard that in America, anyway, that there's a lot of import of for CBD. You get a lot of Chinese hemp, for example, where the quality is very different to locally grown. What can you what do you know about where the plant is actually grown and the quality of the ingredients that go into it?
Yeah, what you say about where the plant is growing, that is vital. I mean, hemp is a plant that sucks everything out of the soil where it grows on. So if you put like a hemp field next to an oil refinery that spilled a lot of oil in that ground, the hemp will actually clean the soil with the oil. So the hemp plant, if it grows in a very bad soil, polluted soil, it will suck up everything in the plant. If you take that plant as the origin to extract your CBD from, oh, you got a very bad product. So you got to know where is it grown, and of course, all the good companies and a lot of big brands and what you see on the table, also they work with certifications of analysis. You need to have that with the product. Again, you need to have a third-party analysis as well. Of course, if you see a Chinese product, and there are some good Chinese products too, not say that everything from China is bad, but not every COA certificate of analysis is a legit one. So there are just a couple of companies here that can do those analysis. So yeah, that makes it hard for a consumer to find the right product. And it's not always said that the most expensive one is the right one. Far from that.
When it comes to sports and recovery then, how have you, in your experience then, what kind of influence have you seen on athletic performance and recovery, and how does that process actually work?
Yeah, what's interesting now is that there's a lot of research. NFL put like $1 million aside to do that scientific research with their players as well. And when you talk recovery, you talk sleep. That's actually where you do the most of your recovery. So if you can improve your sleep, you improve your recovery. And that's a big problem with athletes, and you know it as well. If you have stress over your next day competition, or you have stress because you're out of shape, or you have stress because you feel a little pain, or you have a little injury, especially pro athletes are stressy people. They're stressed out over just the tiniest detail. So that affects their sleep as well. And if you can give them a substance that relaxes or takes away that anxiety, just enough to get into a deeper sleep, you will improve your recovery. That's why cannabis is interesting. And that's why also the THC part is interesting, because that is the cannabinoid that most affects sleep.
The THC part.
Therefore, yeah.
Right. And the THC part is the psychoactive part.
That is the part that everybody gets high on. Yeah.
Okay. But so when we spoke earlier, then you mentioned that you're not in the psychoactive side, but are you saying then, in order to get some of that recovery, that you need to have some of the THC in it? Okay.
Yeah, especially they had, for example, this CBD oil, and you see that a lot. It wears the term full spectrum.
Okay. Yeah.
Full spectrum CBD. Yeah,
meant.
probably
Right.
have seen that somewhere. And full spectrum actually has the whole spectrum of all the cannabinoids that are in the plant where it's extracted from. There's a rule why full spectrum in a lot of countries is legal and allowed, and that THC percentage needs to be under 0.3% in the product. So there's a little bit of THC in. You won't feel it, you won't get high on it, but just enough to have the benefits of what THC does. 0.3% is very low, and the interesting part is that we're now looking at to raise that to 1%. Still not enough to make you high, but then it's going to work a little bit better for your recovery and your sleep.
How does that work then legally? I know because I've tried CBD, and I'll get you to correct me on this, but
Yeah.
I've looked at a lot of different types, and as you say, the most expensive are not always the best, but sometimes it seems that you have to pay quite a bit of money to get a decent amount of CBD.
Yeah.
And I've seen, from a sleep perspective, I've always struggled really I'm not a great sleeper, but I've always struggled to to take any CBD to make a difference. But the company I had I was buying it from, they changed the formula and they added a little bit of THC to it. And they could ship it to certain states. I think California was one, but it's only a tiny amount. But that seemed to be enough to take the edge and for me to sleep quite deeply. And I even checked it with I use this Aura ring to see it, and it actually gets me in deep sleep and REM sleep, and it seems to work quite well. So why does if you just take CBD on its own, it doesn't work exactly the same as if you combine it then?
The first thing is that everybody has a reacts different. Can we stop a little bit? Louis! You're snoring through the podcast and you're not taking pictures. So either go sleep outside or stay awake.
He's even having his THC and CBD.
We can leave that in. We were talking about sleep. I gave Louis very good product. Were you on it? No. It's the sun, probably.
It's so funny we were talking about sleep.
We're talking about sleep and Louis. Oh, God damn. No, the way cannabinoids work on everybody is different for anybody. It is, you can have, for example, your tolerance to THC can have a higher threshold than somebody else. That makes it absolutely difficult to find the right dosage. Every company, CBD product or THC product, full spectrum product, producing company always has this line, start slow or start low and then build it up as you feel. That is fake. That is for a consumer almost understandable. I try to explain it also to my people and say, how much do I need to take? 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams? And say, well, what do you take? I've experimented a lot. Before I felt something, relief in the knee and the knee not swelling up, assuming that was of the CBD, could have been a different reason, but okay, assuming of my CBD intake, I was on 100 milligram doses per day.
100 milligram. So just to put, because this is where when people say an amount, it's difficult to get it in. So let's say one of these. So we've got one of these bottles, and for those people who are just on audio only. So this is 3,000 milligrams.
Yep, exactly.
And it's a small bottle, which is 30 ml.
3 ounce, 300 milliliters.
So in terms of droppers, then what would that be? Would that be like 1/4?
Yeah, you have to calculate. I mean, it's not easy. I told this to a lot of producers already. They make it extremely difficult. And this is, for example, an American bottle. If you go to the Netherlands, they don't put 300 milligrams, but they say 30% or 20% CBD.
Okay.
I always had an advice, please take capsules, take tablets, because it says exactly what's in it.
Okay,
The dropping thing, I think it doesn't make it easy.
Because even on this bottle here, it says take 1 to 2 full drops under the tongue, and it says how much is on it, but it doesn't tell you how much is in 1 to 2 drops.
That's why that doesn't work in the medicinal world.
Right.
I mean, a doctor could never live with that fact. So take 1 to 4. Yeah, what is it? 1, 4? I mean, that's a huge difference.
That's right.
That is huge. If you take into account that a 30 milliliter bottle, 3 ounce, it gives you around 200, 220 drops.
Okay.
So you divide the 300 milligrams by the amount of drops, and then you get, okay, 1 drop is, what are we talking about, 10, 12 milligrams. Then another thing, it's a dropper. So if you push it really hard, it's a big drop, and if you put it, it's a small drop. I always say, go take capsules, or there are a lot of very healthy drinks. You have the Trip drinks from the UK, for example, says 10 milligrams of CBD. A CBD isolate, not as good as a full spectrum in my belief, but it's a 10 milligram. Then you know what you have.
Right. And so you'd have 10 of those then to get your 100 mil.
Yeah, for me, but there are not a lot of people like me. I'm a big guy. I still work out. I do fitness. I had a knee that was totally ruined, so that's why I needed a lot. Now, sometimes I take CBD, mostly not. I mean, because I don't have problems. And that's another thing. Don't take CBD if you're doing fine. That's with all the athletes as well, and all the active people, let me say that. So the first thing you do is you eat clean as much as you can. Maybe one day you say, okay, I'll take a fast food, rather not. Don't drink, once a week, maybe. Be active, train 5 times, 6 times a day. Pete Koch was here also. The older you get, the more important that gets. Live healthy, eat clean. Cool, don't take anything. That's the ideal world. But then if you have an issue, it's a little sleeping disorder or a little pain or an ache or you feel a little bit anxious, yeah, then you can use some. But for all other people, if you don't have issues, why should you?
With the
It's not very commercial what I'm saying now, but
No.
it's yeah, I'd like to be honest and transparent about that.
with in Europe, then it is. My guess is that you mentioned that for sleep you need a little bit of THC in there, but my guess is in Europe you can't import that or sell that because of the fact that THC is illegal where CBD is legal. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, in the Netherlands you can buy it.
Okay.
The only thing is that in a coffee shop, and that's the same what you see here in the dispensary, although it's a little bit different. Dispensaries are way ahead of what a coffee shop in the Netherlands is.
In what way?
The whole experience, knowledge-wise, products-wise, and quality. Every product has a beautiful packaging. There's labels on it. There's ingredients. In most European coffee shops, and especially in the Netherlands, you get a transparent sealed bag with a flower in it. It says nothing because it's not allowed to market weed. So the situation here is way better. They're beautiful products. Says exactly what it is, what kind of THC concentrations, the sort of the flower, what it does. But there's also a huge variety in capsules, topicals, everything. You won't find it in a Dutch coffee shop. It's about the bag of weed. That's it. Yeah, maybe some hash, the little sticky stuff, and maybe a space cake. That's about it. So we have a long way to go. Every other European country. Luckily, a lot of countries are now working on that. Germany is very far ahead. Malta legalized cannabis.
What about Portugal? I thought Portugal has done something.
Portugal is even about legalizing every drugs. It's like you better legalize it than you take it out of the criminal atmosphere. Could be working. And I'm like, yeah, not so bad.
Thailand, you were talking about Thailand.
Thailand legalized, but Thailand, yeah, I come there often. I have some real estate there, and my partner is Thai. That totally depends on what government is there now. That could change over a minute. They legalized it. That was in the news. They're now in Thailand. I was there last June. The city there, the village there, lived close by. Pai had 40 cannabis stores. I was like, whoa, what happened here? Is it totally legal? No, not yet. Medicinal is legal in Thailand. Recreational, they take a huge risk. So all the big guns out of the cannabis industry, the Royal Queen seeds, the Canopy Aurora from Canada, the big companies, they're all looking at it and they're all jumping into it, but it can change overnight. And you see that in the whole cannabis industry. That is a big problem, and a thing that keeps the regulation, the good regulation, from getting together. UK, for example.
Yeah, because it was. I was reading it. The UK guidelines have recently just changed. Like the Food and Standard Agency have recommended 10 milligrams a day.
Yeah, correct.
So is
The
that
whole CBD industry went nuts. It's like, what? The UK was one of the first, and it all had to do with Brexit, of course, for a little while ago. Dus after Brexit, what the UK said, they declared CBD and all related products, all the other cannabinoids. We're not talking THC and recreational, we're talking supplements at this moment, was declared novel food. Novel food means that it's a food sort, ingredient, that came to the market after 1996. All CBD producers, and there are a lot in the UK, big brands. British Cannabis is one big producer, a white label producer, and you have Canaray, you have Rea Kiro, that's sold in Holland and Barrett, actually origin Ukraine, but big UK market. You have Orange County, British brand selling CBD. We're here in Orange County, funny. And you got CBDFX, American company selling big in the UK. So all the UK brands needed to register their products with the FDA. There were 12,000, and then the FDA was going to see if they were allowed on the CBD market. They had to do that before a certain date. I don't remember, somewhere 2019 or 2020. All products after that date were not allowed on the UK market. A lot of things happened. I was at some forums and seminars as well. Robert Jappy, one famous cannabis lawyer in the UK, who helps a lot of companies getting those novel food accreditations, was like, yeah, they started with 12,000, but now they're 12,600. So there, or another number, but there were more products added after the date as well, which is actually good, because if you look at a product from early 2020 in the CBD market, that's old-fashioned, because the industry was so rapidly growing because of all the new knowledge available and the mixture with hybrid products where they even had ashwagandha or mushrooms kind of things in it, or just simple vitamin C, or
You get a lot of even like drinks and everything now, isn't there?
exactly, yeah, functional drinks. That's a new hype thing.
Really?
I was looking into that too. If you look, there are a couple of stores here free in California. It's called Eyebrow or something, Ebrew, whatever, big store, but they have like, I'm a meters metric guy. It's like meters of shelves, feet of yards of shelves, now long, and all kind of different products. We'll see that in Europe probably in the next 5 years. But that's interesting too. And their CBD or cannabinoids is used frequently to make a functional, healthy drink. But yeah, back to the UK. So the FDA is trying to regulate the CBD and the cannabis market, medicinal, recreational, and also supplements. They've done some research, and what they found out, for example, is that 10 milligrams of CBD is about the maximum that you get. While we before always said 70 milligrams is the maximum you can take. It totally depends on what kind of CBD is. To make it even more difficult, we talked about all the cannabinoids. You have different ways of CBD by the way it's extracted. You have isolate, so they isolate 99% in powder usually. Isolated products is what all athletes in the beginning used, all professional athletes, because they said, okay, cannabis is a prohibited substance on the World Anti-Doping List. I think it says substance 112. And then in 2018, January, the WADA excluded CBD from that list. If you still take a full spectrum, there are traces of THC and other cannabinoids in there. There was no professional athlete using full spectrum in competition. That's crazy. So they used isolate to make fully sure that there are no traces of THC in it. You have a broad spectrum and a full spectrum. A broad spectrum uses a CBD isolate, and other substances are added to it. That could be a little bit THC, broad spectrum. And the full spectrum is just everything that has out of the plant to make it even more difficult for the consumers. Nutrition or supplements is already hard to understand for athletes. This is even harder because we're still making a lot of products, and it was hyped, so everybody thought, okay, this is a quick buck that we can make, get into the CBD branch or the cannabis brand, and you get rich.
Everybody was in it.
It's the new internet, and they made products for the products, and you saw that in Canada, for example. You had these big funded companies, and we're not talking millions, we're talking billions. Canopia, Rory, Tilray, all the big ones, and they used all that big money to cultivate as much as they can. And there's a big there's a big problem now in that industry, because they produce so much that they were like, okay, what do we do with all this stuff? And then a lot of producers went to invent products just for making products. So you have had, because it's already gone, CBD impregnated athletic wear, CBD impregnated bed linen sheets, whatever. The most craziest thing, from lubricants to
I've seen a lot for
toilet
pets.
paper.
Does that work? I would have thought that works with like dogs and stuff, like dog.
That's a different industry. Yeah, there are a lot of CBD.
I would have thought if it works for people with different medical conditions, then you know, maybe it calms dogs down.
Yeah, we're going to get back to the dosage again.
Yeah.
So how do you dose CBD for a pet? Mm-hmm. Does the product, what they did is that they made a lot of products with a very small concentration. just to be safe. They advise the dose per weight of the pet animal. I mean, it's different if you have a Danish dog or a Chihuahua. I mean, you need to dose that right. So there is a lot. I even saw in the Petco here there was a box of hemp powder to mix with the dog food for treating his anxiety or to make him at ease. And I was like, oh, that's so not allowed in Europe, for example. And what is it exactly? I mean, it's I'm totally for cannabis. Strange enough, because I always hated it when I was working out. It was like, oh, loser blowers. I mean, you had the jogs and you had the blowers or the stoners in my days. So we were hanging out on the basketball field, and they were behind somewhere, I don't know, smoking joints. That was a big difference. So I come from the jogs part, from the athletes part. And I'm convinced that actually what they were doing there behind the fence wasn't that unhealthy as I thought it was, except for the smoking part. But the cannabis part, it's so interesting, and it works so good for a lot of people. Also based on research from the medicinal part away, that athletes can benefit hugely from cannabis if you know exactly what you're doing. And if the industry itself doesn't know exactly what it's doing, we still need more research and more regulation. So yeah, you can take a muscle relief cream. That won't hurt you. And it's also mixed with camphor and a lot of other herbals that arnica, for example. What is it? Arnica montana, I think, here in the States. And menthol to calm and to freeze. Or peppers, camphor to give you a little bit of heat if you need that before your workout. These products are awesome. What you see is that the amount of CBD, where in the beginning 1,000 milligram in a product, I was like, wow, 1,000 milligram. This is 5,000 milligram. 3 years on the road, this is also 5,000 milligrams. So it's a lot, but technically it cannot reach your blood topically. It's different from ingesting it. That surely helps. So I'm on the safe side. For the athletes that we worked with, I got a couple of guys in MMA, in the One Championships. I have one guy that's the strongman, the one that lifts Atlas balls. And funny story, I tried that too, but respect for the guys. And in all these extreme sports, that's where you might need the CBD and the cannabis sport. So it's NFL, a lot of tackles, a lot of injuries, MMA, a lot of kicks, a lot of bruises, a lot of hits on the head. That's where cannabis is an option, and I hope, and we hope that scientific research will prove that, a healthier option in the long run than all the pharmaceuticals that people are using now.
With the dosage and the UK guidelines with 10 milligrams a day, I was reading something, and although there was conflicting information, but if you take too much, it could be damaging to your liver.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, well, the liver is the organ that cleans your body and get those cannabinoids out. That's why we also always have to advise that CBD or other cannabinoids can interact with medication that you're taking. You see the ones that have the advice on it, be careful eating grapefruit. I don't know if you guys have that here, but that's a thing in Europe. Is that grapefruit also interacts with medication.
Grapefruit?
Yeah, grapefruit.
Oh, right.
There's a substance within grapefruit that interacts with medicine because it's also being extracted out of your body because of the liver. So it sounds very serious. It's like, whoa, you got to be careful with that. But there's a lot of stuff that we eat, and grapefruit is the best example to say, okay, well, be careful with medication and grapefruit because it interacts with each other. Also alcohol causes for your liver. And we always say, okay, drink with, how do you say that in English?
Drink with moderation.
Sensible, with moderation. And that goes for CBD as well. So it's not a real big, scary thing. But yeah, with moderation. And what I was referring to in the UK, 10 milligram of an isolate is another thing than a 10 milligram of a full spectrum. So 10 milligram being in isolate, I say, yeah, true, that's enough. 70 milligrams of a full spectrum, when there's only a little bit of CBD in it, that won't harm you.
Coming up next.
Cannabis is great, but the industry is suffering because of the lack of regulations, the lack of progress. Don't ban it, but try to control it in good surroundings, with good education, with people that know what they talk about.
What does it do to the liver then? Does it just tax the liver because it's got a lot of processing to do with getting it out?
Same with alcohol.
Right.
I mean, you get it out of your system, but if you drink a liter of vodka every day, your liver is going to be in bad shape.
Yeah, and so with CBD then, what is that limit that's sort of the upper limit of where it could create problems? Because as you say, some of these dosages are quite difficult to even recognize. I suppose if you wouldn't take a whole bottle, but
but you'll be perfectly fine. That's a 500 milligram bottle. That's a very low concentration. You won't feel it even. No. If it's good for your liver, no, not, because the liver has to get that out of your body. So I wish I could give you a solid answer, and I think that's the problem also with the CBD industry, because CBD was hyped, and now everybody has problems to even sell a bottle of CBD. You don't see it as much in stores as well. One, because in the beginning it was very expensive. That bottle, the yellow one with 3,000 milligrams, we sold that in the beginning for well over $100. You probably find that in store for 25 now.
Why does it come down? Just oversupply?
Yeah, oversupply, and that has an effect on the credibility. I mean, if I see something for $150 and then 3 weeks later it's 25, I go, oh yeah, no, I don't want to have it. While it's still a good supplement to take if you have some certain issues, but the direct response of your body, or the feeling that you have when you take CBD, is minor. It's hard. You've been taking CBD as well. Your ring that tracks your sleep, you say, okay, with a little bit of THC, I see a severe improvement in my sleep, in my deep sleep. But was it the CBD? Have you stopped with the CBD? Has that affected on it? You need to track it. If you smoke a joint with THC, you get high. That's a direct response of your body. You say, okay, I feel, oh, that was a good one. With CBD, that's different.
Yeah, you don't feel. I've tried a lot. I can't remember the brand I tried, but it was a professional. It was not one of the sort of small shop ones. It was a big company. I'll try and think of the name now. And I looked into them, but when I got what they said was the best, and it was very expensive. It was about $300 a bottle, but I didn't feel. I didn't recognize. I suppose there was. I was taking it more to relax in the evening and to sleep, particularly when I was traveling. Yeah. But I didn't notice it quite as much until I tried this newer one that they had. Yeah. But you kind of get you maybe because you get more of a feeling off it. I don't know.
No, it's hard to feel. I mean, if you take vitamin C, or here with all the
Elixinol, that was what they called it.
Oh yeah, Elixinol. Yeah, it's a good one. That actually was Australian, but now that we talked about British Cannabis, that's the one who does Elixinol now.
Okay.
But you have a lot of good companies here as well. You had CBD MD, a very well-known company because they all also sponsored UFC and they were very well into athletics. You have Charlotte's Web is now sponsoring Major League Baseball.
Right.
There's a drink, Mind, sponsoring another baseball team. They have a lot of guys that focused on Level here. Is one that is very into sports. Sold all over the place here. Beautiful companies. I worked for High Tide, one of the bigger Canadian companies in the cannabis industry. They had New Leaf Naturals and Fab CBD. Beautiful products, a lot of knowledge behind it, a lot of research behind it, very specialized products also with other natural ingredients just to make the whole spectrum working better for you. But still with supplements, and that's the same if you take a vitamin D. We do that a lot in Europe because we don't get too much sun, as much sun as here, for example. When I take vitamin D, do I feel better? No, I just take it because I think that will just raise the vitamin D, that the deficiency I have because it's always raining and it's always cloudy. You take vitamin C to improve your immune system. Does it work? No, we don't know, but we take it. Do we need to take it? If you ask any doctor or nutritionist, no. Although a lot of people say, well, the quality of the food nowadays, what you get in the store, an orange is not the same orange as the orange from the 1960s. It doesn't have that much vitamin C, so we do that. Same with CBD. Yeah, it's good. Do you feel an effect? No. When do you feel an effect with a cannabis product? That is THC. CBD is known for a pain reliever. If I break my finger, that hurts. I put a CBD cream on it, it's not going to work. Put some opioid in it, it's going to work. So if you do the oxycodons or those kind of products, that has an immediate effect. Should you take oxycodone if you're in a lot of pain? Well, we all know the problem here in America, what happened with oxycodone. It gets you addicted, it has a lot of nasty side effects. So if that works in the long run, for example, with a chronic pain, that is not a pain that you take opioids for, but that's keeping you out from sleeping well or from functioning at your daily job, yeah, it could really help. And I'm especially looking now at the THC, because this is THC state for me, is what can we learn from this excessive recreational users? How can we find the right dose for a professional athlete to not take oxycodone or any other opioid, or even a Tylenol has had some bad, nasty side effects. Now when you take one or two, when you have a headache or you have a muscle strain or whatever, no, that's okay. But professional athletes are constantly under a lot of stress, pain. I mean, if I've seen football, American football now, and the soccer players are complaining when they have 2 games in a week in the Euro, because, oh no, that's a great stress on our bodies. Football players play every night or 4 times a week or something like that. I said, well, that must hurt. So to be in top shape, they probably take a lot of stuff to recover faster, to treat their pain. And especially when it's the most important quarterback, they do everything to let him play the next game. And that's injections, corticosteroids, whatever goes in that body. So yeah, whenever we can bring that back to a more natural cause and less side effects, yeah, the better. So it's still very interesting.
Do you see THC having a place on a micro level, like not to just get wasted on it, but do you see, or are you seeing from your research here, that people are having small amounts to provide other pain relieving benefits?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. I've tried topicals, creams, when I was in very bad condition with this knee, with higher THC levels. I called him the nutty professor, but he was a guy very specialized in extracting. So it was a laboratory, and he had kind of a foam, sticky stuff, with a very high THC concentration. He mixed that with coconut oil, and he said, well, put that on your knee. I was used to creams like this. So I was like, okay, I put my hand in it, and he was, whoa, don't do that. And I was like, whoa, what happens? He said, no, just a little bit. I said, well, you mean if I put too much on my knee that I get stoned? He said, oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you or your knee?
Yeah, on my knee. I was like, you can get stoned when you put like, he said, yeah, I still don't know if it's true, but I put that on, and suddenly the feeling was that it felt like having a painkiller shot in your knee. He said, okay, it's numb. So this part was numb. I wasn't stoned, but this was numb. And that gave so much relief. I was like, oh, yes. It's not going to help the problem in any way. So CBD is not to heal. It's not, if your knee is fucked up, can I say that? No, you cannot say that. Beep up. You need to go to a doctor or orthopedian specialist. That he needs to look if he can do something. And in my case, it was replacing the total knee. But meantime, when you have to deal with it, and a lot of athletes do, and a lot of active people do, yeah, if it can help you, give you more relief, and if it can help you recover faster by sleeping deeper and better, yeah, then it's still a very interesting ingredient. And there's a lot of ingredients out there. You see now lion's mane, reiki, whatever, from the mushroom side. Also interesting. I have to dig into that because it's a little bit related with the cannabis industry.
Are they combining the two?
Yeah, also.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Don't ask me if that's good.
Well, no, I was listening to a podcast about it, and they said that they're kind of two very different. It was actually an Aubrey Marcus one, but he was saying they're two very different energies.
Yeah.
I think he was talking about actually ingesting it and then what that does, but I wonder how they work in other areas.
Yeah, it's been around. I mean, it's, Jeff Rogan's podcast also. I mean, he was also very pro CBD. Now the mushrooms come by.
Well, they're legal, I think, in like San Francisco or somewhere here.
I think so, yeah.
A few
I have the
places.
feeling that everything is legal here, but it's like, I don't know. I see
Well, I think there's different types of. I think even with cannabis, it's legal on a state level and not on a federal level, from what I understand. I don't understand even how that works, but
yeah, I would have you know, you have coffee shops in Amsterdam and you have the smart shops. So it's the smart shop where you cannot buy cannabis, but you can buy everything cannabis related. And all the tourists go there. It's like, oh, do you have ecstasy or whatever? The cannabis says, yeah, use this one. It's a natural one. It's not what they're looking for. But they were always specialized in, smart mushrooms. But that's a psychedelic one. I don't know too much about it. I have to dig into that. But you see it mixed now. It's also to create something that, okay, the hype is a little bit over. Industry is going down. You see a lot of CBD companies going bankrupt, and only the bigger ones, the better ones, will survive. It's a very logical. I mean, that happened with internet. That happened with a lot of hypes over. So it will be back. And if the combination lion's mane mushrooms is good with CBD full spectrum, or if a cordyceps work with a CBN cannabinoid. Same problem with CBD. It needs a lot of research, and the problem with research is that
it takes time.
it takes time, and especially on products that were banned before.
Difficult to do.
It's difficult to do, and you need.
So are they able to do that here in California? Then are they, because it's technically legal? Are they able to do more research? Or
yeah, well, NFL puts a lot of money into it. A lot of cannabis companies from Canada, but also here from the States. Because it's legal, I mean, legalizing it, that has the big step forwards. I mean, that's the beginning. That companies that you can go to a bank or that you can go to an investor and say, okay, we need money, research, will you back me up? So the research, since legalizing cannabis in Canada and in all the states, the 30 plus states here in America, is a huge step forwards in scientific research. Only, it takes time. I mean, you need a couple of decades to be sure what CBD or THC does on the long run to a human's body.
How are you marketing it in Europe then? Because my guess is your company sells it in Holland. With all the restrictions around advertising, which I think are even here, like it's not like you can put it on Instagram and things like that. So how are you getting the word out about this?
You can't do marketing as a whole. We cannot say, well, I named or mentioned a couple of benefits on cannabis. Actually, I may not even do that. I have to say, well, it might, or it possibly can, or whatever. That's the same in the supplement world. You cannot say creatine makes you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever. Although creatine is one of the most researched and most proven supplements, but there are a lot of supplements. A pre-workout makes you lift 20 pounds more. You cannot do that. So you cannot claim on a lot of natural sourced ingredients or supplements. We cannot do that on CBD, so I can never say take CBD. It makes you recover better after your workout. Cannot do it. What we can do, however, is talk in general about all the development within CBD. We can use cases from professional athletes that do reviews and they do recommendations. And people, if they want to know, they'll find it out anyway. But on my website, you will not find one claim on CBD. We cannot place ads, what you say, on social media. So we try to market it in another way. So we sponsor a lot of people, get this shirt on everybody we can find to show it and tell about it. But placing an ad, no. In the UK, however, you have billboards and commercials on TV, commercials on buses. They're a little bit further in the development in that way, because when it's accepted as a novel food and they have permission, you can market it.
What about in America? Are as you said, there's a lot of these companies around. There's certainly some larger ones. Are they actually? What do you know about their financial performance? Are people buying it and these companies making money, or are they just raise lots of money and hoping for the day when suddenly the market catches on?
Yeah, both.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning there were a lot of companies making a lot of money. Problem is now that the whole industry is suffering. I mean, I can still be the positive guy and say, no, cannabis, great, whatever. Yeah, cannabis is great, but the industry is suffering because of the lack of regulations, the lack of progress, the stigma. Still, there are a lot of people that look at me as well, and I have an active profile on LinkedIn, and I post here and there about cannabis, and all my former college students or classmates was like, cannabis, come on, no. And a lot of people still think it's drugs. But if you look at the medicinal and the supplements, it's a totally other story. It's totally acceptable. And it could be totally beneficial for a lot of people with a lot of issues that are now taking stuff that I say, well, you better not.
What got you into it? It's definitely, out of all the businesses that you could get into, it's certainly not an easy one to get into. I can see why it's quite interesting, but there must be something that made you dive into it and want to.
Yeah, it is a challenge. If I knew everything before I started this, I would think, okay, should we really get into it? No, it helped me. As I explained, that I was on expos, and you mentioned Recreational, and that's one of the brands that I had. The other one was Recreational, and they had like booths just in front of me. And I was selling another product for that company. It had something to do with Nespresso cups for cannabis. Crazy idea, never worked either. But
so what was that?
it was just a little pipe, and he had like
a pipe.
It's just like a little pipe, and he had a pre-filled cup looking like an espresso cup. And you just put it in, you light it, and then you could smoke it. Perfect idea. So you don't have to roll a joint or do whatever. It looks very more sophisticated than dirty joint in your hand, and you smoked without tobacco, because a lot of Europeans still mix their weed with tobacco. Not here, they smoke it, just the flower. But anyway, I was selling that, and after a day with my injury in my knee, that was rough. I mean, the knee was swollen up, and I was limping, and if you do that in front of a CBD booth, they were like, oh, look at this guy. He was okay this morning, but now you see him suffering. And then they asked me, okay, what's your problem? I said, well, I was an alpine skier, hit a tree, and normally the knee bends this way, and mine did that. So everything torn apart and fragmented, so my knee is full of metal screws and whatever. And I'm a heavy guy, and so at the end of the day, does it hurt? You won't believe it hurts. And they said, well, try CBD. And I was like, nah, come on. But they kept on doing that because we did a lot of shows. And then finally it was, okay, did it for a year, never took it seriously, didn't work. And then someday I was like, okay, they gave me so much stuff, because in the beginning it's also hard to do, to experiment with CBD because it was very expensive. I mean, doing 100 milligrams 3 years ago meant $250, $300 a month. That's not for everybody. But they gave all the stuff to me and said, okay, well, I'm a little sick of all the painkillers that I have to take. I followed their advice, build up and build up and build up. I used a lot of topicals too. And I was doing CrossFit, and my coach says, what's wrong with you lately? I said, I don't know, something bad. She said, no, something very good. I mean, you're doing your wall balls, your deep squat, you go further than 90 degrees. And I was like, really? I said, yeah. There was video of me, and I was like, how does it feel? I said, it feels good, actually. I said, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. Said, oh, yeah, the CBD. I said, well, that must help. And then I started, that was my point of, okay, now I'm interested. And it really helped me, absolutely. So for me, it was just out of my own experience that finally, and then after 25 years of struggling with that same knee, I felt good. And I always had that when I worked out in the evening, I got to bed, and it took me like 30 minutes, 1 hour, one side, pillow between my legs, another ice pack on it. Struggle to fall asleep. Waking up in the middle of the night, it hurts again. And it got me through a period that I was able to sleep well. I didn't wake up because of my knee bothering me. And it's not like that. It's an awful pain, but it's just like a nasty pain that keeps you awake or that makes you awake or keeps you from falling asleep. And that's where it helped me improve a lot. And the more I could work out, the better the knee gets. I mean, the stronger you get, the less influence your bad knee has on you. So a lot of people always think that, oh, you got a knee injury, sit down, relax, put your leg up. No, work out, get stronger within your abilities, not making your knee any worse. Well, we all know that within fitness, if you don't work out, if you're not active, everything you have in your body is going down. And it might hurt if you work out, but the stronger your quads and your hamstring and everything around it gets, the better it is for your knee.
What about from a psychology perspective? Have you seen any benefits for athletes with focus and mental resilience when they're in a high pressure situation?
Yeah, there's a book actually. It's a very interesting book, and it's also a term used a lot within long distance running, long distance speed skating. Sorry guys, I'm Dutch. We do that. But all the long distance, the triathlons and the Ironmans or whatever, the book is called Running High. And that's a very interesting book because what we have in our body is our own endocannabinoid system. That's a discovery from 1982. An Israeli professor has that. So we talked about all the cannabinoids, the CBN and the CBG. Those are called phytocannabinoids, originated from a plant. But you also have endocannabinoids, the ones that your own body produces. Within the endocannabinoid system, that happens in your nerve system, where you have your transmitters and your receptors. Same place where you if you work out and you finish your workout, you're full of endorphins. It's like, feel good, feel great, makes you feel good. That's the luck substance. You have adrenaline. I mean, if that really gets into you, you're stronger than ever. You can run, and your stamina is well. We need a lot of adrenaline. If you have an accident, for example, the one that when I broke my knee on that tree, I fell down. I was like, okay, that's not good. I had no pain. Because I was full with adrenaline. I looked at my knee and said, oh, that must hurt. And then the adrenaline got out of my body and I just fainted because of the pain. So that happens in your nerve system. Endocannabinoids is your own. We know of two, probably there are more. That's anandamide and 2-HT. Anandamide is actually the one substance that causes the high or the flow. I don't know if you ever run a marathon or a long distance run. You get to a point, and mostly within a marathon, that's on the 30 kilometers mark. Miles, help me here, Matthew, somewhere around 15
Probably,
or so.
yeah, around about
somewhere, just halfway over the end. You hit the man with the hammer, we say that. It's like you don't feel good anymore, and your body's about to give up. Everything hurts or whatever. If you manage to pass through that, you get into a flow. And you know that your body is totally wasted and it's full of pain, but you're like, no, there we go. And that you call that the runner high. So everything seems to go faster. You're not getting bored anymore. You're having fun, runner's high. They found out that when that happens, you have a lot of anandamide running through your body. And that's in athletic performance-wise, because we now only talk not about improving performance, but we talked about due to faster recovery, dealing with pain, but nothing performance stimulating. But if you have a lot of anandamide in your body, your focus, your endurance, your whole body performs on a better athletic level. It's like you're in the flow. You can be very good at one particular sport, but your mindset has to be right. So you could be just as talented as Ronaldo. You can have his stamina, his endurance, his technique or whatever. But if I'm not thinking that I'm Ronaldo, and usually I do, I will never be so good because he has the right focus and the right mindset. That's anandamide. If you can, I mean, the bad thing about anandamide is that it comes up very quickly in your nerve system, but it also fades away very quickly. So if you can hold it and you can control it to come up sooner than that 30-mile mark or whatever, just from the beginning, yeah, then it's an athletic performance enhancing substance.
And you can take that artificially as well.
Yeah, I mean, if the more cannabinoids you have in your body, so the more THC mainly, because THC is one, the runner's high. If you have the right doses of THC, so don't get tired, but just enough to get focused, focusing on your athletic performance, feeling less pain, that could be a very interesting thing. And that's why the NFL and also the...
I heard a lot of some of the fighters doing jiu-jitsu and that I heard take some of the THC or basically smoke a joint before they do jiu-jitsu to get them focused.
Yeah, to get them focused. It could be the same reason why Arnold Schwarzenegger took a vodka before working out. I don't know. I mean, it's not a good idea to drink and work out. It's not a good idea to be stoned or be high and work out. But if it's just that little bit...
Small bit, like microdosing.
Yeah, exactly. You hear that in mushrooms a lot, microdosing.
Right.
But the same goes for THC. If you just in the right way microdose THC, which is very difficult because it's so different for everybody. That's with drinking as well, and it's always a bad example using alcohol and talking about fitness and sports and health. I mean, you can go out drinking and say, okay, we're gonna down tequila shots until we get drunk, and there's always a dude that still sits up and thinks, no problem. What do you guys say? Or that very little girl that you don't expect that she can handle it. But a human's tolerance to those substances is very individual. Different from each other.
How do you compare it against alcohol? I guess we're talking about CBD and THC, but with alcohol, you get a number of I suppose it's a lot more socially accepted. I've reduced over the last few years. I've significantly reduced my alcohol and have periods where I don't take it, and kind of realize how much mentally damage it does to you and how addictive it is. To just even stop for a month. Yeah. So I certainly don't see alcohol as being something that's healthy really in any way. But be curious to know your view on that compared to something like this.
It's a relevant question because a lot of people within cannabis always refer to alcohol. Yeah, but alcohol, the number of addictive persons, the number of people that died from alcohol abuse is huge. That's a big problem in every single country, though it's very well accepted. We also knew that from nicotine, tobacco. That's just in the same corner, maybe. We know that smoking is bad for you. We know that so much that you don't see anybody smoking on TV. I mean, that's totally banned. When you see somebody smoking on the street, you're like, oh, a loser. You don't smoke in restaurants, you don't smoke in public spaces, but we still use alcohol and TV. It's very normal if somebody has a glass of beer in a talk show or a red wine, totally acceptable. It's just as bad as cigarettes. People die from alcohol. And then if you refer to cannabis, nobody ever died from cannabis.
No.
I mean, take that into account. I mean, we talk about cannabis as if it's just as bad as alcohol, drug abuse, smoking. No, it's not. It's a healthy product. Yeah, if you smoke it, it's bad. Don't smoke it. But any other way that you take it, in a very controlled way, you should see it as a substance that could improve your wellness or your well-being or your health. And it's strange that alcohol is still so accepted. And I'm no saint. I like my alcohol too, and I'll drink, but I certainly feel the effects of using alcohol. I mean, it's when I was 18 years old, and probably you and everybody else, when you had a night out, the next morning you had a hangover. Okay, that was it. Next day, it's perfect. I'm almost 60 years old. Next year, I'll be 60 years old. And when I drink a glass too many, it needs a week to get that out of my system. It's going to get.
I heard it takes longer as you get older.
It takes longer to deal with that stuff. And now I more realize why. I can have a good time with that. I know it's bad for me, and especially if you work out and trying to live a healthy life, alcohol has no place in that. It's totally accepted. but it's actually the worst drug out there. It's worse than cocaine, it's worse than ecstasy, it's worse than everything else because it's so accepted and it's in that same corner as every other hard drug that makes people addictive and kills people.
I guess with alcohol as well, like the behavior change that it leads to after probably not more than like 3 drinks, that's also probably a bad thing that you don't realize. It's like, stupid things that you end up doing when you've had few too many drinks. I would say the majority of fights and serious issues.
It's the same thing that what goes on now with the red light district. That there's a lot of problems always. And the mayor of Amsterdam says now, okay, we're going to ban people from smoking a joint outside coffee shops because of the fights and a lot of noise, and that's for the people that live there. It's not nice. And we're all like, yeah, nice, but if somebody's stoned and high, he's not going to cause any problems because he's going to sit down and look, and in a couple of hours he gets hungry and get the munchies. That's about it. The people that fight and make trouble are the drunks. So ban alcohol in Amsterdam City, but don't ban the coffee shops. That's ridiculous. But it's so accepted. There was Formula One this weekend in Las Vegas, sports event, sponsored by Heineken. When they win, they have a big bottle of champagne and they drink champagne. Alcohol, sports, and driving. Come on, and I know Heineken says, okay, yeah, no, we only market Heineken 0 point whatever. Yeah, but still a beer, and I mean the same is that THC is an alcoholic beverage, CBD is a Heineken 0.0. But still, we cannot market that, and they can market Heineken in a racing event.
I suppose they didn't have a cannabis company there because it's legal in Nevada, isn't it? I think now.
Oh yeah, but you see that there was the Super Bowl. They had a commercial of CBDMD, I think.
Really?
Yeah, so you see it here a lot, and it's good to see that. That's the whole point why I'm being here. It's nice to be in an environment where, even in the Netherlands, known for the cannabis country of the 70s in the Netherlands. When I talk about cannabis, everybody looks at me, oh, what? Here, no, it's very much more accepted. I mean, it's here. Yeah, we work in the cannabis industry, so as everybody else. It's not a big deal. It's nice to be here. It's nice to see the development. It's where we should go all over the world to make it that acceptable, to make it transparent, to get branded products, to get branded packaging with ingredients that which is analyzed, which has a quality stamp on it, that's totally controlled. That's how it should be. And that is good to see. Is it all good? And no, because I see crazy high concentrations of THC. That's typical for California. And it's like, okay, that's you got this Swedish alcohol beverage, absinthe, I think it is.
Okay, yeah.
That's about 80-90% alcohol. That's banned in the Netherlands because, okay, that's also too strong for the gin drinkers in the Netherlands. They drink it in Sweden, but it's like that. I mean, why would you drink absinthe? Because it's one shot and your liver is fucked and you're crazily drunk and you get a headache next morning. It's a little bit what I see also. You see the most beautiful products, but the need for getting high on high concentrations of THC, no. Why do we do it? Get it back into the well-being and wellness part where it has a good place, where there are beautiful products out there, and it can help you from taking too much harder medication or pharma stuff. If you have an issue, go to your doctor, please. Do not expect the CBD to heal you or to cure you. If you have it subscribed as a medicinal for a serious disease, epilepsy, and they also treat people that are treated for cancer with chemotherapy to lower the effect of the side effects. I love that. I mean, that is beautiful. That's where we help a lot of people within the sports industry. If it is a good ingredient that has a lot of benefits that can help you work out more, help you work out better. And we all need to work out better because motivation is something. A lot of time that I go to the gym, I don't want to, but I know it's vital, and it's getting more vital the older you get. Pete Cox said the same thing. I mean, the 30 minutes thing for 60 years old, and I see a lot of people in my surroundings that say, start working out, start being active. And I don't care if it's cycling, walking your dog, get out there. And that's the thing that struck me here. I don't see a lot of active people here. If you go to Denmark, I was there lately, then you see every night, every morning, and it's not only the people with dogs, but everybody walks. It's like we eat, take a walk, 1 hour. And it's cold and it rains, but they go. You go to the Netherlands, you see bicycles everywhere. We used to, if we go to the supermarket, we take the bike. We don't take the car. I try to, but it's hardly possible here. I mean, I don't have
Everywhere's
a sidewalk.
built for roads, like unless you're on the beach. I was saying that, like if you live in London or Amsterdam or any European
Anywhere
city,
European city, yeah.
it's very easy just to get out and walk, and you don't really need the cars. Here, in most places, and there are definitely exceptions, but most of the cities are built for driving. In fact, the paths go a few hundred meters, and then that's it, and then you have to. You can't go
It's also my partner who I work with. So we're in Mexico City for an expo, and we needed to pick up a rental car to transport some stuff. And he was looking at the app. So what are you doing? He said, I'm calling an Uber. I said, dude, it's 2 miles. He said, 2 miles? So yeah, what's that? Half an hour walk? But I gotta go with a taxi for, and that was the total difference in opinion.
Right.
I was like, yeah, walk, why not? And it's not suited here. It's a beautiful. Everything is beautiful. Nature is beautiful here. In cannabis, it's a learning experience, and they're way ahead of any other part in the world, and also in research and in products. So yeah, that is a good example. So California, and I know that Colorado was the first state to legalize cannabis. So there are more states, but it's an environment that even hardcore coffee shop cannabis Amsterdam can learn a lot from when they come here.
What do you think is going to be in Europe, like for Holland and Germany and the UK? What are your thoughts on legalization of THC?
Everybody's talking about it. You have a lot of testing going on. I think Germany is one of the countries that is the most ahead of any other country. Strangely enough, the Netherlands is far behind everybody else. UK is on a good way too to regulate it. What I would like to see, but that's totally my own opinion, but looking at the industry, get medicinal regulated, get the supplements regulated as well. If you regulate medicinal, you regulate THC as well, because medicinal is all about THC. Be careful with the recreational one. I don't want it banned. It's just like if the United States had a long period in time where alcohol was banned. It didn't do any good for the drinking. You had all the moonshiners getting the products out, and I think the mafia was great on that. So don't ban it, but try to control it in good surroundings with good education, with people that know what they talk about, and that's here in dispensaries. Yeah, kudos to everybody. You have people that know what they're talking about, the so-called bud tenders. It's an environment where you feel safe. It's a beautiful store. You know what you buy, and the people actually know what they talk about. Same if you go to a supplement store here, they're educated people. And that's not the case when you buy it on the street, in the black market, and not in every coffee shop or social club in Spain, as they call it. You be a member in Spain or in Portugal, you have that same thing. Get it out of the gray area, legalize it, but also try to control it quality-wise and regulation-wise.
Well, my last question, Roald. Escape Your Limits is about escaping what you believed is impossible and gone to make possible. What would be a memorable example of escaping your own personal limits?
Yeah, what I like to see is my first product. We're talking about, I've sold 1,000 different products in CBD. I've sold over, more than a couple of 100 brands. I did that on purpose because I wanted to be independent of brands. Now, after 6 years, that's okay. I know so much, and I'm not an expert because there are no experts in cannabis, because we still need to research more. I'm going to bring out my own topical muscle relief, the best relief balm, soft gel, whatever it is. Escaping the limits is that what is limited is that I'm very much into the Olympics. I love to watch that, especially track and field. We have a couple of very well-performing track and field athletes. Fem Cabal, amongst others, world champion holder on different ones. We have a couple of them. We have
In Holland,
a relay team. Yeah, I would love to see them as one of my Team CBD Sports members using CBD products at the Olympics, which is allowed, by the way, but also be able to brand that.
Right. When are you coming out with your topical?
I hope before the end of this year. This is actually this is a. Would you like to try to use it? Be one of my
Yeah, why not? I'm always a guinea
test
pig for
models.
these things.
This is the one that actually will be it, especially because all the ingredients that are here. You see, that's a lot more than only CBD. Use it, but give me all the feedback you want,
So you
and
just,
it's going to
you
be
just put it
close
on
to that
areas
one.
where you've got like pain, do you?
Yeah, if you work out and if you have nothing, don't use it. But if you feel like with all those weightlifters and fitness enthusiastic, there's always a little bit some problem going on in my shoulder. Probably you will have some muscle soreness. Yeah, that's it. If you have some
My wife's jiu-jitsu. She's constantly coming back with pains and aches.
then Wendy's going to be the
Is this your brand?
try
Slap.
out. No, it's not my brand
okay.
yet. It's just what a brand or
Right.
a formulator. So you always need a lot of intelligent, nutty professors that know all about all the ingredients. We work with him, and I'm saying, no, I want that out, I want that in, and that's how we come to this one. And it's actually just a test bottle. For
What's your
us.
brand? What are you going to be? Have you got a name?
No, that's difficult. I thought CBD Sport would cut it,
Okay.
but it's we like the logo. I like how it is. And my daughter is one of the creative one who helped me doing that. If you very much into soccer, you will see that the Amsterdam Ajax shirt is in here. The 3 crosses, that's hardcore Amsterdam as well. I mean, the Amsterdam flag has the 3 crosses. You see that all over the city. So it's very much Amsterdam, but I don't talk about it too much because I always also want the business from out of Rotterdam. But it's a very general name. And it hinders me a little bit from marketing because everything with CBD in it is under a big loop at banks, at credit card companies, at Klarna, PayPal, whatever. I mean, when I would have known this, I would have called it differently. So energy distance, always good.
Yeah.
How did you come up with escape?
Well, that's another story. But yeah, it's nothing to do with fitness or anything.
Yeah.
It was an idea at the back of. I used to work in nightclubs many years ago, so it was an idea out the back when we were trying to. Me and a good friend were trying to escape from where we were at the time. That's how it started.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Yeah. No, it's always been nice, and you developed a lot over the years because I've always seen your boots, of course, and your products, and it's impressive. And
Well, maybe we'll have a CBD THC sleep product as well.
Yeah, well, but that escaping your limits, that could be it.
Yeah, it's
I
an
would love to
interesting
see
idea.
a bigger company within the sports industry having a product as well. And there are a lot of brands within the fitness industry also making equipment, but also making their own protein powder. So why not?
There's a lot of people around this area, I think, that kind of specialize in everything from mixing to packaging. To,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
a big,
in terms of branding and marketing, this is Champions League,
Yeah.
as we call it. Yeah.
Well, Roald, thank you very much for making it down.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed the conversation. I've certainly learnt a lot, that's for sure. And look forward to trying your new topical when it comes out.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And you also help in breaking the stigma of cannabis in sports by doing this. So not only from my side, but all of the people within the cannabis industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank
Roald.
you, mate.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you've got any value from it whatsoever, then please do us a favor, like, subscribe, tell somebody, and that will help us to be able to continue to do more of these and help you escape your own personal limits. Thanks for listening.